If you got an Indian for a friend, he's your friend for more than life. He'll go to hell for you too. Hello, huge movie fanatic Nate, stopping on by, coming at you once again to review an Animals, or in this case, Animal Gone Amok, Run Wild movie. Another kind of grizzly bear. I don't know if they call this a grizzly. I don't know. They pretty much call it Kustica more than anything else. Devil bear, Satan bear. It's really kind of funny. I'm coming at you to review Claws, and I'm pretty sure this is from 1977, so a year after the Grizzly movie by the name of Grizzly. And it's funny how that movie's, Jaws with claws, and this movie, this movie, I'm surprised Grizzly wasn't named Claws. I mean, I think one of the best things about this movie is that it's, the title is very, very, obviously kind of clever and very close to the title Jaws, which is, of course, just like the movie Grizzly, what this movie is trying to capitalize on the success of Jaws, a year after the success of Grizzly, I would imagine. I'm pretty sure I saw this for the first time in 2009. I think around that time, or sometime in that year, I came across this huge big box VHS from probably I got from a closing mom and pop video store at the time. This VHS put out by Video Gems, and it's kind of funny. You can kind of see which side of the, was facing the window. Like that looks perfectly normal. And then if you look at this side, I don't know if you can tell, but this side's much more faded than that side. So this was probably facing the window, and the fading kind of bleeds over a little bit to the side of the box on this side. But here's my big box Video Gems VHS of Claws, and I do believe this is on YouTube if you wanted to check it out after my review. Will the woods ever be safe again? One killer grizzly towers above the rest. And before I start the review, I will say that another good thing about this, this is really kind of a cool painting of the grizzly bear, Kustica, devil bear, Satan bear, whatever the hell you want to call it. I actually do like that painting of it. So as I said, I'm pretty sure I saw this for the first time in 2009, having probably sometime in that year having acquired this VHS. I think this movie's like an Alaskan production. I think it's even the pictures is like Alaskan Pictures or something like that. I think this, I can only assume that this movie was actually made in Alaska, and it features this one guy who I want to say I've seen in something else. Maybe it was a TV show, TV movie. This one guy who could be like Lance Henriksen's dad or brother or uncle or something like that. This guy just screams. He just looks so much like Lance Henriksen. And incidentally, I think I do like the guy as an actor in this, and he's one of the best things about the movie when, the seldom times, well, I don't know, I guess he's pretty much in the movie nonstop for like the last half of it or whatever, but this movie, I've reviewed, at this point, this is like, I think my fourth Nature, Runs Amok movie review, and this one, you can tell by having just revisited it, rewatched this lately within the past several days, that you can definitely tell that this is the least, kind of the lowest budget of the movies that, the Nature Run Amok movies that I've been reviewing as of late. Prophecy and Grizzly and Day of the Animals and now Claws. This is, definitely probably the lowest budget of the bunch. And I would also add, I don't know if it's, well, I suppose a low budget doesn't help, but I would also say of the bunch the Nature Run Amok movies that I've just reviewed, it's also, the worst and kind of the hardest to get through. But it does start in an impressive way, in a way, frankly, that towers above the other movies, in that it's got some, and it's kind of sad to watch because the movie opens with, with actual kind of bear, it looks like actual bear fight footage, and it's just like, oh, it's kind of sad. One can only imagine that the guy who made this movie or something like that, or the guy who shot it or something like that, I can't remember. It seems to me like the guy who shot it was another, I don't know if it was the director, but the guy who shot it might have been the writer. I don't know. The guy who shot it was also another credit on this movie, I think. So, it's very possible that this guy who shot the movie was like a nature, wildlife photographer or something in Alaska or whatever, because this bear fight footage at the beginning of the movie really kind of like, oh my God, it is kind of a strong way to start the movie, and it's like, oh my God. It's kind of brutal, really, this bear fight footage and seeing them go at it. And there's this one time where the bear is even fighting, and they make their way towards the cameraman, and like bump into the camera, and you're like, God, I hope the cameraman's okay and stuff. But within this actual real bear fighting footage, they interject some hokey ass. There's this wildlife guide or something like that who's doing this illegal stuff where he's like, probably for a big fee, he's leading guys to these, bears to shoot them or whatever, So he's like, oh, this is, if you want, these bears or this bear or something, it's going to cost you because I might lose my license over this. And so these guys like shoot the bears, and one of them, they shoot the bears that are fighting, and one of them escapes, runs off, and the other one, through like hokey ass reverse photography, he just pretend like, it looks like they shot him dead, but when in fact it's just reverse footage of a bear standing up. So in the finished movie, it's just this bear going from a standing position, just like crouching to the ground, and in a way that's just so not him being killed. It's just, like I say, reverse footage of a bear standing up. And what's so funny is the beginning of the movie starts with really impressive, real bear fight footage, to just this hokey ass guys shooting it in this hokey ass, close up of a rug and blood coming out of it. And I mean, I'm glad they didn't kill real bears for the movie, let's put it that way. But it is it does take away from this very strong opening of actual, realism, to just like, to hokey ass reverse footage of a bear standing up to pretend like it's been shot dead. And so basically the beginning of the movie is these guys tried to, these bears were fighting, they tried to shoot both of them, they shot and killed one presumably, and the other one kind of escaped and ran amok or whatever. Meanwhile, you've got this happy couple, this Lance Henriksen guy and his wife or whatever, that live in the woods now, and he's a logger, and they're just filling up his truck with all kinds of wood for the winter and stuff, and they're like just all happy-go-lucky, like they're on a frickin' woods logging, what's that called, honeymoon or something like that. And they're just, we see another mountain, we see another mountain, we see another mountain, and that's enough for me. I mean, you can tell they're singing this crap while they're driving home. We're going home, we're going home, it's getting closer, there's only 52 more miles to go. I mean, it's just, you can tell the actors are actually ad-libbing for real because of their reactions and stuff. As I said, this probably is on YouTube if you want to see this dumb movie, or at least the beginning of the dumb movie or whatever. It's kind of hard to get through, so basically, he's got this old hot rod truck or whatever that breaks down, and it's like, oh damn. So basically, the guy leaves the woman, the wife, in the truck. He's gonna go hike. I mean, what kind of help are you gonna get in the middle of the fucking forest? I have no idea. But he goes walking for help, like he's gonna go back to the gas station, like in Europe, or National Lampoon's Vacation or something, like trying to find a gas station in a desert. But of course, this rogue grizzly, I think they do call it a grizzly a couple times in the movie, that's been shot and wounded or whatever. He's now on the rampage to kill man or whatever. Having been shot by man, maybe he's more mad and wants to kill man now. He's just walking around, and he's just, of course, this Lance Henriksen guy runs into this bear, and through all kinds of just shots of whatever and this and that, cuts. If you can't shoot something in a way that's convincing, just shoot a bunch of blurry shots and cut them together quick, and basically, it's just shown that the bear, this devil bear attacks and mauls the Lance Henriksen character. Oh man, what a bummer for him. So 5 years later, there's been some reports apparently of other bear attacks throughout the years. Maybe not a whole hell of a lot. This so-called devil bear that's killable or untrackable devil bear makes an appearance every now and then in the next 5 years. We cut to 5 years later, and there's this devil bear. We don't see any of this stuff. We just see it on this black screen like teletype. you know, such and such years, such and such happens, Devil Bear appearance, disappears, whatever. So now basically 5 years later, of course, this happy-go-lucky couple that sing a hokey-ass made-up song in the truck as they're driving back to the cabin after getting a pile of wood are now, you know, divorced, and this, you know, his former wife and is the mother of his son, who's probably like, I don't know, 12 or 13 or whatever, by the name of Bucky. She's like now like dating this guy who's like the camp out. I don't know what the hell his actual job in the movie is or whatever, but in the movie we're kind of introduced to, you know, this woman's new boyfriend. Because he's like he's chaperone. How do you say that word? Chaperoning. We'll just say that he's chaperoning these bunch of like Cub Scout kids or whatever, you know, 11, 12-year-olds, you know, this camp out thing, and that's how we're introduced to this guy who's now the boyfriend of, you know, the former wife of Lance Henriksen guy, and I'll just call him Lance Henriksen guy. I think his name's Jason in the movie. And meanwhile, Jason's living with this old Indian guy in the woods, and he's just kind of, I don't know if he's a drunk per se, but the Indian I think probably is, based on some dialogue that he says in the movie. He drank too much whiskey, but yeah, you know, even 5 years later, we might as well just call him Jason since I can remember the character's name for once, is plagued by nightmares and just flashbacks of this attack, and his left arm is, I don't know, it's not like it's useless or anything, but it's probably been crippled by the, you know, the attack of the bear or whatever. This guy's, you know, for the past 5 years has just been in bad shape, you know, broken, you know, the life, you know, the perfect life. What's so funny about the opening of the movie though is like, where's the kid, where's Bucky, and you know, is he at the cabin? Like, where is he at when the movie starts? Because it's only 5 years, you know, before the majority of the movie takes place, and the kid's like 12, so obviously the kid's alive. It's just maybe he was back at the cabin with the Indian, I don't know, but so that's that. So we kind of, I mean, this movie does a lot of stuff in flashback by, you know, so we're basically just introduced to, you know, Jason now 5 years later being just this guy who's a wreck or whatever, probably still a logger, and see all kinds of, you know, flashbacks of, you know, the relationship with him and his wife going downhill, and we never took much more than a living out of this, you know, piece of crap operation of logging or whatever the hell she says, and you know, oh, I'm going to take Bucky and go take him to the city and with my mother. I don't think she says that, but that's commonly what's said and stuff like that. So anyway, I'm talking on and on and saying nothing. So getting back to the review, we just introduced 5 years later, you know, the guy and his horrible, you know, the state his life is in, and then we see this camp out with this guy who, as I said, is now, holy crap, I'm on a loop here. I can't get, okay, I'm going to attempt to move forward with the review. So this guy who's now, you know, sleeping with and or going out with, you know, the former wife of this Jason character is heading up, chaperoning these kids on a camp out, and there's all this bear talk, and you know, they do this prank, Acoustica's coming, Acoustica. I don't know if Acoustica is like Indian name for devil bear or something, I don't know, but Acoustica, incidentally, is kind of a cool word actually. You could actually make a movie if you wanted to do another one of these low budget movies. It'd be really cool to call it Acoustica actually, or Acoustica's Revenge or something, but you know, Claws 2. So basically, it's kind of sad because, you know, it's funny because they were making, like, at dusk, you know, the camp out with the kids, they were making jokes about, you know, oh, Acoustica's coming, it's just a prank, kind of like the prank those two kids do in the first Jaws movie, you know, with the rubber fin or whatever, and it's just like, haha, and like a few moments later, we cut to night, and it's actually nighttime, and it's like, nature call, I gotta go to the bathroom or whatever, and before you know it, the devil bear attacks the kids in the camp out, and it's like, you just, again, you just see quick cuts of random this and that, and, you know, this, you know, kid being hauled away or mauled in a bloody, you know, pile of pus in a sleeping bag, and it's just like, so basically it turns out to be that, of course, you know, the main character's frickin' kid, Bucky or whatever, gets mauled and attacked by the bear, and we end up seeing him in the hospital looking like Invisible Man with just bandages all over except for like one part of his face showing. And I think he's like in a coma through the entire movie, and it's just like, then there's, you know, some of this movie is real time, some of it's flashbacks, and it's just like, he's the guy, you know, the guy who's chaperoning the kids is like, tells the woman, is just like, I'm sorry, it was huge, it was, I didn't, and of course this woman's all mad at this, you know, guy because he assured her that, you know, it'd be safe and he could handle it or whatever, and he did shoot at the bear during the bear attack, and he's just like, I put so and so many slugs into it, it just wouldn't go down. He's not Southern, but it just happened to, it came out of my mouth like that at that moment. And she's all mad at him, and, you know, he's just feels so bad for, you know, the bear attack and not being able to, you know, stop it, and in particularly Bucky, you know, her son being hurt and possibly coma forever and who knows what, and wow, what drama. So, I mean, basically, I think the rest of the movie just is basically about, just like with kind of Grizzly, even though they kind of, I don't know, they kind of pussyfoot around until towards the end of the movie. This one is like, instantly it becomes about, you know, hunting down and killing this devil bear, Satan bear, Acústico, whatever the hell you want to call it, and there's this funny, this is the only movie I can remember ever seeing since Drive-In Massacre where I saw this guy, there's a bit part where the bald guy, the bald drive-in manager from Drive-In Massacre is actually a bald, sunglasses wearing reporter in this movie, Claus, where he's in the brief scene where he's interviewing these guys and gets punched in the face. So it's kind of fun to see that guy from Drive-In Massacre. I'm sure he's in other stuff too, but I think these are the only two movies I've seen that bald guy from Drive-In Massacre, and that was kind of funny. But as I was saying, the majority of the movie is just pretty much about, you know, talk and this and that about, you know, either, you know, hunting down or trapping this devil bear to, you know, to just kind of revenge, and also to just to get it out of the freaking woods. So, you know, it's been terrorizing for 5 years at this point, on and off, and let's just get it out of the woods so, you know, it can, yeah, and now having terrorized this camp out of these, you know, these Boy Scouts or whatever, it's just like, oh man, it's just like with the Grizzly movie, like, it's killing off and on for 5 years, no one gives a shit until like a kid, in the case of Grizzly, the movie Grizzly, kids attacked, in this case a whole, you know, camping group of Boy Scouts or whatever, and it's just so funny how, I guess if you want something done, you gotta attack kids and then it'll get done. But the majority, as I was trying to say over and over, the majority of this movie is about just, you know, you know, just trying to get these guys who are trappers to trap it. That doesn't work, and oh my gosh. So Jason is just like, after, oh, that's another thing about this movie, after the attack on the Boy Scout camp and his son being mauled and in the hospital in a coma, possibly never to recover, he's just like, oh, Jason's on a war path now. 5 years later, I've got a reason. Of course, he had a reason 5 years ago when he was attacked himself, but now I really got a reason. Now I really got a vendetta to hunt down and kill this devil bear, Satan bear, Acústico, whatever the hell you want to call it. So there's this one goofy scene. I don't think Jason has anything to do with, I don't know who the hell enlisted these high-tech trapper guys or whatever, but it's central to everything. That's, if you've seen the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about when I say this line. There's this funny scene where all these, like, it's just like Jaws and Grizzly, there's this brief moment, although they don't show, all they do is show all these, like, hunters gathering in a dusk road in the middle, you know, middle of nowhere, and just talking for a bit, and then that's it. They don't see it. I don't think we show any more footage of them hunting the bear or anything like that, but there's this funny scene where they're just gathering on this road at, you know, it's in a rainstorm, and this guy's like showing, is that a real flare gun you got there? Sure is. And he's just like, be careful, that could burn through, I don't know, 10-inch metal plating or whatever. Just a flare gun, don't hurt nothing. And it's just like, oh my god, so this movie is just a bunch of bull. So basically there's a scene right after that where this cop gets killed by the bear, and it's funny because at least 2 times in the movie the bear attack will be someone just standing there, and then the guy in a bear suit will kind of just swipe past frame, and they'll just slow-mo it, and just be like the bear just materializes out of nowhere and just attacks people like Jason Bear, you know. And Jason from like Friday 13th Part 8, where he's just boing, boing, just appearing wherever, you know. So it's, you know, he's borrowing a little bit of the Jason Voorhees teleportation stuff that he picked up, you know, in Manhattan or whatever. But, well, he was doing it before he got to Manhattan. Anyway, so, you know, then there's this lame scene where these high-tech trapper guys, including the, you know, in cahoots with this guy from the beginning of the movie, who, the guide who was unlawfully, you know, frickin' gonna have these two guys shoot and kill a bear for money or whatever. He's one of these three high-tech trapper guys. It's just demonstrating this cage that's gonna trap the devil bear, and it's just, of course, it's all talk and it's gonna work perfectly and nothing can get out of here. And you know, there's this dumb scene that's just supposed to be, I don't know what, suspenseful or something, where it's like beep, 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 oh, it's coming, and then it's just beep, 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 and it's just silence, and then comes through the window, and, you know, none of the, like, kills or anything like that, because it's like a low-budget movie, and none of that, they're always just, like, either slow-mo, garbly gook, whatever, or just quick-cutting nonsense stuff. I mean, the bear kills really aren't necessarily what you'd call competent, like Grizzly, where, you know, you kind of, it's fun in Grizzly where you see a swipe and then an arm go flying or a horse head or whatever. This movie, like, I mean, even like the bear attack scenes are just kind of lame, but I mean, I guess they're kind of funny when those couple times in the movie where the bear will pass through frame and slow-mo and attack someone, or it kind of pulls them out of frame, and that's like that. I mean, it's kind of cool, I guess. It's just like, it does take you by surprise, I guess, but whatever. So after that goes awry, and then, you know, the high-tech trappers can't catch the bear, then basically Jason vows to go up and hike into the mountains of presumably Alaska to go hunt it down and kill it, and he goes up and actually he takes, I think this older guy in the movie is his uncle, I want to say, and then the current boyfriend of his ex-wife, the guy who basically let his son get mauled, is going with as well, because he's got a vendetta, and also the Indian guy who Jason lives with is going with. So all these four guys, this is probably about halfway in the movie, kind of like Jaws, where halfway through they go out on the trek to, you know, hunt down and kill the monster, the animal that's terrorizing, in particular, who's been terrorizing the community and their lives or whatever. So I will say, you know, one of the best things this movie's got going for it, of course, presumably being filmed in Canada, is even in this completely horrible standard definition VHS copy, is the only version I've seen, of course. I mean, even in that version, like the Canadian land, or did I say Canada? Alaska. If I said Canada earlier, I meant Alaska. This is actually filmed in Alaska. The the Alaskan scenery and stuff is pretty and beautiful, and you know, but the way this movie's shot is just almost like high school student project. Unfortunately, it's really not done in a way that's really kind of any kind of creative whatsoever. But you know, invariably, even if you don't know how to shoot anything for crap, you know, and you're shooting out in a beautiful Alaskan wilderness, you're still going to accidentally get some beautiful, like, and I guess a lot of it could be just the crappy quality of the VHS transfer, but you're still invariably, even if you're a crappy photographer, and you're shooting out in a beautiful wilderness, you're accidentally going to end up getting some good shots just because nature is so beautiful and photogenic and all that kind of stuff. But last half of the movie is just, you know, it's kind of like the last third of Grizzly rather, where they're, you know, trying to hunt down and kill the bear. Last half of this one is that, but it's kind of a little more interesting, I guess, if you want to say, because it's four of them going up, and there's this obviously bad blood between the ex of this woman and the current boyfriend of the woman, you know, and the fact that this guy is responsible for this guy's sons being injured and possibly in a coma forever or whatever. So there's this funny scene where this Jason character, you know, points his rifle at him, and again, it utilizes a reverse. I don't know if when he points it at him is a reverse of him bringing the gun down. There's this funny scene where this guy's like, you know, Lance Henriksen guy is like smiling at this guy, and he's like, "I love her, Ben. I think she loves me." I think he does have a southern accent, come to think about it. This, you know, the current boyfriend of his ex-wife. And it's just a stupid shot where he's like smiling and the rifle comes up and points right at him, and then it comes down. You can tell one of the ways is a reverse. I don't know if the up is the reverse or the down is the reverse, but it's just the stupidest thing. It's so funny. But meanwhile, the Indian guy who drank too much whiskey, he's like having visions, and he ends up, I don't know what, just falling. He ends up having visions one night, or at one during the day, and all these goofy visions of just, you know, Indian women appearing and just these goofy animals appearing, boing, boing, just disappearing and stuff. And he ends up falling down over some kind of hill and gets hurt. And I think maybe that night or something he has visions in the middle of the night and basically just kind of sleepwalks into the bear's, basically right into the bear's arms, and gets killed that way. And this later on, this the guy who, you know, headed up the Cub Scouts or the Boy Scout thing, he oversaw that. He ends up climbing a tree to try to kill the bear that way, and you know, he's like, bears can't climb, and he's up in the tree trying to shoot the thing, and it, you know, rattles it enough where he drops the rifle, and he actually, it's kind of cool how the devil bear ends up tipping over the tree, and of course kills that guy. And I think the old guy that's with the Jason character ends up, you know, he's just too old for that kind of trip, and especially up into the high altitude with thin air and all that kind of stuff. I think he ends up getting hurt, falls down the hill or something, and is helicoptered out of there. And of course it's this battle, and of course it's just Jason and the devil bear left, and you know, Lance, I like saying Lance Henriksen guy more. Lance Henriksen guy versus devil bear. And there's this one point where right at the end of the movie, the kid, of course, in a very dramatic scene, not really, wakes up, and I want my daddy. You know, the Bucky wakes up in the hospital, mumbling through the bandages that are like probably covering his mouth. He's like, I want my daddy. You know, the mom is like, oh, and she gets this helicopter pilot to, you know, his kid just came out of the coma and wants his dad. I'm gonna go, you know, get the dad. Where is Jason? He's on the mountain trying to kill the bear. And it's just like, bring me up there now. And meanwhile, Jason's fighting, having a cat and mouse with the devil bear. And it's just like, and then there'll be this one, it's like at a mine. There's a cat and mouse at this like mine location, and this bear accidentally scrapes this, you know, container of gas and pours all over him, or, you know, whatever, some kind of flammable material. And the woman comes up, you know, sees Jason on, not that they'd ever be able to find him in this vast wilderness, but finds him on the top of the mountain fighting this bear. And she's like, comes out of there with a flare gun, and the helicopter pilot's like, there's only a flare gun. Of course, little do they know it's, you know, the bear's doused with flammable liquid. And God, this review is going too long, sorry. And I'm almost done. And it's like, oh, and she's gonna shoot, you know, this gun towards the bear. She ends up, I don't know what, falling down in a really slow-mo, boring scene. Like Jason character grabs a flare gun, and they just show this, you know, it's almost like they just draped the rug over like this bear, you know, skeleton, and just like lit it on fire. I mean, it's fun in a low budget, you know, way or whatever. So Devil Bear gets just doused in flames and kind of falls over the cliff and lands in the river or something, and all's well that ends well. So that's, I'm sorry guys, I went on way too long. So that's basically Klaus. Unfortunately, you know, I remember this being better than it was. Maybe I wasn't as picky 10 years ago, I don't know. But having just rewatched this recently, I'm only going to be able to go a half star out of 4 stars for Klaus. It really doesn't have a whole hell of a lot going for it. Other than just beautiful, presumably Alaskan, what we can just say, beautiful, you know, woods, kind of mountain scenery or whatever. And since this VHS version, which is probably the only version that's really out there, if it is on YouTube or whatever, it's just so dodgy. It's just really hard to even freaking look at. It's just kind of, you know, that combined with just the low budgetness just makes this movie almost, you know, really all the more hard to watch. But I will say, you know, the Lance Henriksen lookalike guy is fun to watch, and the woman who plays his wife is, you know, she's cute and kind of fun to watch. You kind of get sick of, you know, I don't know, them quarreling or whatever, but there's this flashback scene where she's in this little, I don't know, dress skirt thing, and she's kind of sexy, and it is kind of hard to watch. It's like hard to watch, like, you know, when they're happy, you know, when that couple, Lance Henriksen and this woman, are happy because they're so corny, and then it's hard to watch when they're fighting, and it's just like, Oh my God. But incidentally, I mean, in closing, you know, one of the characters that I do actually kind of like, in addition to the Lance Henriksen guy, is the guy who plays, you know, the older guy who plays his uncle or whoever the hell this guy is. You know, he actually, you know, has a really kind of authenticity to him as well and stuff like that. And so there are things about it that are fun, but still, I mean, as a whole, let's face it, it's mostly just, you know, I don't know what, very difficult to get through. So thank you very much for watching my review of Claws. Will the woods ever be safe again? One killer grizzly towers above the rest. Thank you very much for watching this review, and as always, we'll catch you next time. I think I go drink whiskey. You come drink whiskey too. I think I go... If you got an Indian for a friend, he's your friend for more than life. He'll go to hell for you too.